Over 2,000 years ago, a child was born. Now, this child was not any usual child. People from all around the world would soon learn his name. Indeed, at the time of his birth, some already were seeking him out. Now, this child's birth was very unpleasant, especially for his mother. You see, the government at the time was requiring heads of households to return to their home of origin. For the child's mother and her husband, this was a city very far from where they were living. Riding on a donkey while she was 9 months pregnant, this child's mother gave birth in a very compromised situation. During a time when a child and a mother had a great risk of dying during labor, the scenario was bleak. But this child was not any usual child. Both mother and child survived. Now, there were some wise men that knew about the child's coming to existence. They saw it in the stars. So they traveled to the king of the area. Once the wise men told him of the coming of this baby, the king promised to help them find him and celebrate him. But he did not. Instead, this Roman client king, seeing the child as a threat, initiated what is known as the Massacre of the Innocents, killing all male children under 2 years of age. But this child was not any usual child. He survived, and he grew up in a traditional Jewish home following the customs, growing up with scriptures, talking to elders at the temple, even one time scaring his parents half to death when he was at the temple for 3 days while they frantically searched for him. Once discovered, the 12-year-old child was surprised with their distress, questioning them on why they would not immediately assume that he was at the temple. He grew up to be a great teacher, but what he was teaching was something new. In his teachings, he taught to love God with all your heart, but that it mostly counted if you did it in private. More difficult, he taught not only to love your neighbor, but to love your enemy. To love your enemy as you love yourself. Come to think of it, the way we love ourselves is complex. He taught that his Father's house has a place for us. That if it was not so, he wouldn't be going to prepare it. He taught that those who are without sin should be the first to cast the stone of condemnation. And that since we are all with sin, we must pray to God for forgiveness, and that for it to be granted, we must first forgive others. In his teachings, he said that he will not know us if we are not good to one another, that any slight we make to each other is a slight against him. His time teaching was brief. He was murdered on a cross, but more of that for another day. This child that was born over 2,000 years ago is the Christ child, Jesus, Emmanuel, which is to say, God with us. He walked among us to teach us. He died as a remission of our sins. After death, he rose because he is the Son of God. And he is the reason that we say, Merry Christmas. This has been Austin Arthur with the West Orange Times and Observer. And until next year, have a blessed Christmas and a happy New Year.